But Tom asked us to hold off on doing that because he wants to sweat you out while he presents about the FBI. So he's going to try and teach you about interrogation tactics. So we're going to keep it up for just another hour. The other thing that's changed, of course, is that you see a number of the shades are drawn. That's in case there's some very, very tall birds who want to spy on the FBI presentation. I'm kidding. That's actually so that you can see the screen a little bit better. So we have a great presentation from Tom Harrington at the FBI, and Tom is an executive. I don't have my notes with me, so he's an executive assistant director of criminal and cyber. Mm-hmm. How they do? Okay, for those of you who don't know, that's actually a very big deal. And Tom's, going to tell you a lot about what he does at the FBI and what the FBI is doing in the areas of performance management. But what's interesting is to reflect upon the fact that now Tom is responsible for half of the bureau. I think every day he asks himself how this happened, but he is in fact responsible for half the bureau. But when we first met, and Patricia Bush and I had the opportunity to walk in and meet Tom, it was just a couple of years after September 11th. So it was 2003? 2005, we were getting old. And Tom was responsible for, only I'm getting old, apparently. Surrounded by love. But Tom was in the position of standing up the new counterterrorism division, right? So think where we are now. I mean, at the time, the counterterrorism division was new, and Tom was able to, in all that chaos, recognize, holy cow, we are totally in a state of chaos. I don't even know if it's working. Heck, I don't even know what it is. Right? So all the things that Dave said this morning, Tom was actually experiencing. He's like, I'm not even sure what direction we're headed, and I sure as heck don't know if we're getting there. So he was actually the pioneer that introduced performance management at the FBI, and really with an element of persistence and heroism that you don't find in many organizations out there of this magnitude. So with no further ado, I want to welcome Tom Harrington from the FBI.
Hey, thanks, Laura. Yeah, this is obviously, I've been in the FBI almost a little over 25 years, and this is always the coveted position at Quantico when you got to go down and teach, The guy that's got the right after lunch presentation. But I just want to let you know, I still carry a gun. I have to qualify every 8 weeks. I can still hit anybody standing next to the door there. All right? So that's how we're going to start this thing. I've been asked to spend a little bit of time with you today to talk about risk management to some degree. And this week, I've been working with the director. He's got to do a presentation tomorrow. He's got a speech in San Francisco. And I was telling him about this particular guy down in Bogota, Colombia. As Laura said, I've got the criminal program, I've got cyber, I also have what we call our response side of the house. So the critical incident response group, the hostage rescue team, as Laura said, there's probably half the bureau currently.
So you're all the TV shows.
Yeah, I get all the TV stuff now. But the big challenge is, obviously, in the years from the past was, you talk about drugs and some of the threats and the issues there. But for the director, we were telling him about this particular tailor in Bogota, Colombia. This particular tailor advertises and provides bulletproof garments to executives. Now, that's what I call really risk management. When you start to think about whatever strategy, whatever job you've got, that you need to go to a custom tailor and have Kevlar put into your underwear, you are really dealing with a challenge. And that threat, that vulnerability, and the consequences that may follow are all going to be a bit of a challenge for you. So today, what we're going to do is I've got probably a presentation that's a little longer than I can actually probably get done. So I'm going to do my best New York style, having grown up there, try to push you through a great deal of information. And I hope at the end, if there's questions, I'll be happy to spend some time with you, talk to you about it. As Laura said, this has been a unique challenge that I took on a number of years ago when I got drafted into from the criminal division into counterterrorism after 9/11. Never expected myself to be in the position I'm currently in, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I think strategically. This is my background. Before I got in the FBI, I worked in public accounting. I was a banker, had gone to the Stone Here Graduate School of Banking, so I know there's a bunch of Fed people here and bankers and the like. That's my background. And it was, even though I worked cases as a case agent, moved up through the organization, strategy's always been something that I've thought about and incorporated in all the work that I've done, and now it just happened to be in the right place at the right time to be able to try to introduce this to our organization. So what I want to try to do real quickly here is talk to you about some of the things that we're doing. We'll show you a little bit about how we use the balanced scorecard, but spend most of our time talking about how we incorporate risk management into that whole process. And as you begin this particular journey, I just want to point out a couple things that are what we found are the only way that you're going to get through this. You got to have clarity and purpose. You really have to know what you think you want to do. As Laura said, we had that burning platform, as the consultants would talk about, which was 9/11. Everything changed for our organization on 9/11. We didn't realize how much it had changed until today. In fact, we had some retired agents in a few weeks ago. There's people who've been talking about this over and over again. People who retired 3 years ago from the FBI wouldn't recognize it today. In the way we approach the problems that we're dealing with, the mindset changes that we've gone through, the type of work and the priorities that we've established, it's a totally different organization. To get there, you need executive commitment. And our director has been a unique guy. He's a lawyer. He's a prosecutor. I get cross-examined multiple times every day. I have fortunately over the years, had my cases go to trial. I know what it's like to be cross-examined by defense attorneys and have your prosecutors try to revive you in some fashion or whatnot. Well, every day I go through a number of cross-examinations with this particular director. But he's always been open to new ways. He's always been open to new process. But to be honest, every day I got to bring him back into strategy, because he falls right back into the case management mode of, and I got 70,000 cases that I'm trying to manage. He can't get into the weeds on every one that often folks try to think about. So that executive commitment, this would not have happened if we hadn't got him to buy into it. And then eventually other members of the executive team all bought into it. But it was a rough road when we first started out. Your workforce. We'll talk about our workforce a little bit through the presentation, but you've got to have an outstanding workforce. And our strategy piece, one of the things that really resonated with everybody was about the quality of our workforce, the hiring process we go through. Realistically, we have 100,000 candidates for every job that we have for special agents. When we talk about support, professional support positions, we're talking around 20,000 applicants for every job. So we can be very, very selective in this process. And we do look for absolutely the best people we can find. And then it's a matter of us making sure that they have the tools, talent, and technology issues that they need to address afterwards. And they believe in our mission. You go to any of these government websites that looks at the employee surveys, the FBI is off the chart. Everybody believes in our mission. That works for us. They're not happy with the process, perhaps at times as we go through, but they are totally committed to our mission. And that word sacrifice. My director, when he decides somebody's going to get promoted, first question out of